Heads up, everyone. In case you missed it the last couple weeks, I've rolled out a new feature on Unconfirmed, a weekly news recap. This summer, I conducted a survey to find out what you listeners wanted, and a number of you said you'd be interested in a weekly news recap on the show. I've now added a few minutes onto every episode of Unconfirmed where I go over the big news stories that week. So today, after I close out with my guest, be sure to stick around for My Week in Crypto. Now, on to the show. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unconfirmed, the podcast that reveals how the marquee names of crypto are reacting to the week's top headlines and gets the inside scoop on what they see on the horizon. I'm your host, Laura Shin.
CipherTrace cutting-edge cryptocurrency intelligence powers anti-money laundering, blockchain analytics, and threat intel. Leading exchanges, virtual currency businesses, banks, and regulators themselves use CipherTrace to comply with regulation and to monitor compliance.
Crypto.com. Get their app and buy crypto at true cost. Get a metal MCO Visa card with up to 5% back on all your spending. Download the Crypto.com app today. For a lot of crypto fans, it's hard to find one place where you can trade, plan, and discuss crypto strategy. Get started with eToro and the world's #1 social trading platform. Today's guest is Jonathan Levin, co-founder and chief strategy officer of Chainalysis. Welcome, Jonathan.
Thanks for having me back, Laura.
On Wednesday, you tweeted, "Today is my proudest day at Chainalysis." What news did you share that day?
So on Wednesday this week, the Department of Justice unsealed a indictment against the founder and operator of a website called Welcome to Video, which was one of the largest child pornography websites in the world. And they unsealed indictments against a lot of the operators or users of the platform, and a civil forfeiture against the proceeds from that activity that they're going to then redistribute to the victims. And really, they thanked us for our role in that case of helping them follow the money and make those arrests, and also actually rescue 23 children.
Yeah, and just so people understand the scope of this investigation, Welcome to Video, as Jonathan said, was the largest ever child porn site. And they arrested 337 site users across 38 countries. So it's, quite a big operation dealing with a lot of jurisdictions. So Jonathan, tell us more about Welcome to Video and how it worked.
So Welcome to Video was a site that was actually operating on Tor, which is an onion browser which anonymizes both the users and the site's IP addresses. So it's similar to like anonymous browsing. And the site offered a way for users to actually purchase access to videos that were hosted by the site so that they could download them onto their computers and watch them. It also provided a way for people who wanted to contribute child abuse material videos onto the website so that they could monetize that content.
And when you say that a part of that was using Bitcoin, so how was Bitcoin used on the site?
So Bitcoin was the only method of payment on the website. So an individual could go and actually top up and buy credits to download videos on Welcome to Video, and would also get distributed payment from the website in Bitcoin if they are creators or uploaders of that content.
And so at the time that they arrested the administrator, Welcome Video had at that time set up 1.3 million Bitcoin addresses. So why were there so many? Because I don't think there were that many users, or maybe I'm wrong.
So that is really the upper bound on the amount of users on the website, because the site would generate Bitcoin addresses for users when they logged into the site, and therefore some of those Bitcoin addresses may never have been used, and so that's really an upper bound. But you could see that the site was being used frequently and that the wallet was very active.
And so how did the government use the Chainalysis tools in their investigation?
So what Chainalysis provides is investigation software for law enforcement to really be able to leverage blockchain analysis and follow the money in these investigations. And, it's really through the cooperation between the international law enforcement agencies that are all able to look at the same transactions and say where the proceeds of these funds were being cashed out or where people who were using the site were sourcing their Bitcoins from. And law enforcement can identify those places and serve legal process in each of the jurisdictions to get information about really who are the customers, who are the people behind those transactions. And so they were able to identify both the administrator of the site and a lot of the users of that. And they unsealed the claims or arrests and prosecution of many of the users of the site in the press release.
And so, as far as I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the reason that Bitcoin transactions had to be used to determine the various users because the website was using Tor, and so law enforcement didn't have the normal breadcrumbs available to determine who these people were that were using the site?
I think that the accurate, one interpretation could be that. I think in general, it is the case, though, that law enforcement uses whatever tools at their disposal to be able to go after this type of crime. And more, you see government agencies getting better at leveraging blockchain analysis to be able to actually use that as a starting point in investigations and build bigger cases as a result of it. And the IRS Criminal Investigations Division from the United States doesn't investigate this type of crime, but goes after the money laundering aspects of any form of criminal activity, and are, as sort of Don Ford, the head of IRS Criminal Investigations, said, the experts in follow the money, and they will leverage this type of analysis to be able to prosecute all types of crime. So whether there are breadcrumbs being left through cyber investigations, cryptocurrency has also become a tool in the toolkit of law enforcement. And so this is a good example where blockchain analysis really did help build out this investigation.
And your blog post had an interesting graphic where there were kind of like these circles representing different entities and then lines between them. So what did that show exactly?
So what it showed was that Welcome to Video had its own wallet. And really what Chainalysis does is it enables us to look at the Bitcoin transactions that have happened in the past and associate which transactions have been done by the same entity. And in this case, an entity refers to a service like Welcome to Video, or like BTCE or Alphabet Market or Bitcoin, or Bitcoin Fog, a mixing service, for example. And what it does is we're able to say, which transactions has that service been doing, and we are able to attribute those services to real-world names. So we're able to say, here are all of the transactions that Welcome to Video has been involved in. And then what our graphic shows is what are the services that have directly interacted with Welcome to Video. So many of those exchanges that you see on that graphic actually helped law enforcement identify the actual users of their of their platform that were sending or receiving money to Welcome to Video. And so, in a typical workflow, a law enforcement agent would be able to identify what are the transactions of interest that they should ask an exchange about, to then where the exchange has the KYC information about those users, and law enforcement can then request that information and continue to build on their investigation.
All right, we're going to discuss more about these Bitcoin exchanges first in a moment, but first a quick word from the sponsors who make this show possible. eToro gives you access to the most popular crypto assets on the market, and its virtual trading and discussion features let you discuss and test trading strategies with a community of over 11 million other traders. And headline news, they have officially launched in the USA. eToro offers the smartest trading tools and the ability to connect with the best traders around the world. Their trading fees are transparent and exceedingly low, too, and it's available in one easy-to-use app. Get started at eToro.com. That's eToro.com, and build your crypto portfolio the smart way today. Crypto.com. Have you seen the MCO Visa card? A metal card loaded with perks with up to 5% back and unlimited airport lounge access. They pay for your Spotify and Netflix too. What's not to love? With Crypto.com, not only can you spend your crypto, but you can grow it too. Earn up to 6% per year on the most popular coins like BTC, XRP, LTC, and up to 12% per year on stable coins. Join the over 1 million others and download the Crypto.com app today. Back to my conversation with Jonathan Levin. So in this case, it sounds like, you're working with the exchanges to identify these users, but I imagine you need to gather some evidence before you go to them. So how do you do that part? And then when you go to them, what do you ask for?
So just to make it clear, the people who go to the exchanges are the law enforcement agents who have the authorities to actually make formal legal requests to these exchanges and ask them for information about specific transactions. And so really what's happening is that law enforcement are using Chainalysis as the map that helps them find. So they know that this activity in the Welcome to Video wallet is associated with illicit activity related to child pornography. They then find direct financial transactions that come from that activity to a cryptocurrency exchange or from a cryptocurrency exchange, and are able, with probable cause, to request information from those exchanges about who are the users that are responsible for the transactions to or from those services to Welcome to Video.
I see. And I guess it's one of those things where probably the exchanges wouldn't have known that those transactions were involving this site until after law enforcement came to them. One thing that I was also curious, or am I wrong about that?
Actually, what we provide as Chainalysis is the ability for exchanges to proactively identify this type of activity and report it to law enforcement. So we support the Internet Watch Foundation, which is a non-profit based out of the UK that monitors for child abuse material online. And they provide us with cryptocurrency addresses that they know to be associated with the distribution of child abuse material. And we provide that information to exchanges when they might be receiving or sending money to those wallets, and they can then proactively report that activity to law enforcement as suspicious activity, which can then spark the beginning of these types of investigations.
Oh, great. Oh, wow. Okay. So I guess for crypto exchanges that are listening, this might be a good thing. One thing that I was curious about is based on the screenshots that they released, and I don't know if I'm reading the screenshot correctly, but it appears to be a screenshot from 2015. Welcome to Video recommended specific Bitcoin exchanges, and it listed them. I'm just going to name them all here: BTCE, OKCoin, Bitstamp, Huobi, BTC China, BitHum, CEX, Coinbase, Itbit, Bitfinex, Blockchain. Is there anything to read into this list of recommended sites? Because to my mind, it sort of mixes ones that are known for compliance as well as ones that are not known for compliance.
Yeah, so I think there's not much to read into it. We see that typically these sites are recommending things that are convenient for people, and they might be serving different parts of the customer base. So, there were, as was sort of shown in the press release, there were users all over the world, and arrests were made in 38 different countries. And so while the administrator was in South Korea, clearly this is marketing at people who, criminals who are interested in this material all over the world. Yeah.
And actually, so to this point about how some of these exchanges were pretty compliant ones, and some of them were known for not being compliant. Is that why in one of the unsealed documents, they list these different accounts at specific exchanges? They don't identify the exchanges. And they kind of walk through some of the transactions that had to do with Welcome Video. But they only actually name 3 exchanges, or not name, but they just call them exchange 1, 2, and 3. But then I just wondered, does that mean that users were not able to use the other exchanges because of some of these controls that you were talking about?
I think that in general, when it comes to these types of documents, they're not necessarily complete. So there might be more exchanges that were used and were relevant. So I don't think there's too much to read into the fact that only 3 exchanges were kind of labeled in the indictment.
All right. Well, you also wrote that the site received nearly $353,000 worth of Bitcoin across thousands of individual transactions, but it wasn't clear. Is that at today's prices?
So those were prices at the time of transaction. So we looked at that as the Bitcoin. We like particularly when we're investigating when people are looking at transactions to buy materials. I think it's good to look at it in dollar pricing, because a lot of the time goods can be priced in sort of fiat currency rather than in pure Bitcoin.
Oh, okay. Okay. Honestly, I'm going to say that makes me feel better that it's based on prices at the time, because obviously if there had been payments made in 2015 that were worth $200 or per Bitcoin, and then now that's worth $8,000, then obviously you would expect this number to be a lot bigger. But hopefully this means that they didn't profit too much from this activity. So one thing I was wondering about is also, would your investigation have been possible if the site had used Monero or Zcash or a different privacy coin or even the Lightning Network?
So I think that the type of graphic that we put up that shows these direct transactions to the site, and really the identification of all of the addresses that belong to the site, do depend on there being a level of transparency into the underlying blockchain. And so, yes, any form of privacy enhancing technology would have made this investigation more difficult. Okay.
Well, we'll see how these types of investigations go in the future then, as these privacy technologies become more advanced. Is Chainalysis working on any tools that would enable you to do investigations on crimes that used any of these privacy technologies?
Yes. So we announced recently that we will be supporting Zcash and Dash on their transparent transactions, which might have been helpful in this particular instance. So we are making steps towards helping both exchanges and law enforcement manage the risk. Even in those domains, it's still early in the process of how collectively law enforcement and industry can work together to prevent crime in those domains.
All right. One last question, which is I did see that Joe Weisenthal of Bloomberg had tweeted, or actually he wrote about this for Bloomberg, where he talked about how basically there's two kinds of people who use Bitcoin. One is speculators, and then the other is these transactors. And he said the transactors generally want to buy things that law enforcement doesn't want them to buy. And that made him wonder if it made sense for Wall Street and other investors to be purchasing Bitcoin if the main use of it really is for illicit transactions. Do you agree with that?
So I think that there are many other use cases that go between speculation and the use of cryptocurrency for illicit purposes. And, particularly there are also a lot of transactions that exist in a much more gray area that is not illegal, or it doesn't actually get the attention of law enforcement the same way that child abuse material does. And so I think that the speculation behind cryptocurrency is about a movement of people to create more ways for people to transact globally. And that can mean being able to buy gray goods. It can also mean to be able to transact more efficiently for digital goods that do get sold and bought. And it could be to transact in cross-border in ways that weren't actually thought possible beforehand. So I think that there are the speculation and the investment from Wall Street is around the real value of cryptocurrencies being the expansion of ways that people can transact in general. And yes, some of those may be for illicit purposes, but the investment in the technology to expand those possibilities is definitely something that continues to perk the interests of investors. And I think that really it's about, and our mission at Chainalysis is, to help continuing to expand the number of ways that people can transact globally. And that for us means initially working on making sure that industry and governments can work together to get rid of these types of actors that do actually abuse those new ways to transact.
Great. Well, congratulations again on some fantastic work that is obviously having a really, really important and meaningful impact in the world.
Thanks so much, Laura. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on Unconfirmed. All right. So don't forget, guys, next up is the news recap. Stick around for this week's news in crypto after this short break.
Will the world follow France and advocate banning privacy coins? Will government-backed stablecoins become the new fiat? Are distributed and peer-to-peer exchanges just a flash in the pan? The answer is maybe. Virtual currencies can flourish and create a new, private, and more versatile economy. But that grand vision can't happen without keeping crypto clean. And that requires support of governments and accountability for bad actors. Privacy-enhanced compliance using cryptographic controls has the potential to preserve anonymity without compromising legitimate investigations. CipherTrace is working on this vision of the future. Sign up to stay up to date on the Privacy-Enhanced Compliance Initiative and receive authoritative crypto AML reports quarterly. www.ciphertrace.com/keepcryptoclean.
Hi, guys. Thanks for tuning into this week's news recap. There was a ton of activity in the race to create a global coin from all kinds of actors in this space. As a Bloomberg article put it, quote, when finance ministers and central bankers come to Washington this week, the International Monetary Fund has a message for them. Digital currencies are on your doorstep. Get involved. The FT has a story on where it all went wrong for Facebook's Libra. The story details why some players dropped out, plus features a great Libra video explainer by reporter Jemima Kelly at the end. But the departure of some members has not stopped Facebook. Libra formally signed the Libra Association Charter this week, making the 21 existing signers the initial members of the Libra Council. Meanwhile, China is racing ahead on its digital currency. RBC analysts Mark Mahaney and Zachary Schwartzman said in a research note Tuesday, quote, if U.S. regulators ultimately dismiss Libra and decide not to draft regulation to encourage crypto innovation in the U.S., China's central bank digital currency may be strategically positioned to become the de facto global digital currency in emerging economies, largely through Alipay, WeChat, UnionPay, and other messaging and payment apps. But it does not look like the U.S. is entirely asleep at the wheel. A Fed official did say that the central bank is actively debating a digital dollar, and former CFTC chair Christopher Giancarlo wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal advocating that the U.S. create a blockchain-based digital dollar. Plus, the IRS released a draft of the new 1040 Schedule 1, which has this question. At any time during 2019, did you receive, sell, send, exchange, or otherwise acquire any financial interest in any virtual currency? You should definitely check out my past episodes on crypto and taxes. So not all forces are pushing forward in this race in the crypto space. There are 2 senators who sent letters to some of the payment companies that had initially signed on to be members of the Libra Association. And the letters basically threatened them, saying that they would get greater scrutiny over their existing businesses if they stayed in the Libra Association. And also the SEC filed a restraining order against messaging app Telegram for its not yet launched cryptocurrency. Avichal Garg of Electric Capital did a great TLDR on the SEC's filing against Telegram. As he puts it, quote, the SEC went to town on the assertion that Telegram actually raised money to benefit Telegram Messenger. Telegram controls the Ton Foundation, and the only people building Ton are Telegram employees. Thus, it is a common enterprise, and profits are driven by efforts of others. Listeners, hopefully you recognize that these last 2 points are two of the prongs of the Howey test. He goes on to say, quote, some issues the SEC highlights that other projects will try to avoid in the future. A, don't have the company and foundation controlled by the same people. B, don't use funds to finance an existing company. C, don't have only company employees committing code. Next up, Binance crosses $1 billion in profit. The most popular crypto exchange has its second highest quarterly profit ever. Larry Cermak of the blog notes that this is despite trading volume being down, which indicates that Binance is successfully diversifying its revenue. Next story, for those of you looking for more details on the upcoming launch of multi-collateral DAI, Cyrus Younesi of MakerDAO had a brief tweet storm on this. He doesn't give a ton of detail, but in particular, it looks like governance and security are going to be big focus areas, so it's not just about bringing in different types of collateral. Next story, addresses containing 1,000 BTC are growing at a rate not seen since the early years of Bitcoin. Willy Woo posted a fascinating chart showing that the growth in the number of Bitcoin addresses with at least 1,000 BTC now matches what it was in the early years of the network. As he says, quote, in the early years, gaining 1,000 BTC was a matter of being an uber geek, knowing how to mine it, and some investment in hardware and electricity. In 2019, 1,000 BTC means an investment of $10 million. In my opinion, this is Willie's opinion, we're likely in a new renaissance of Bitcoin, this one powered by capital influx of high net worth investors, while the early one was from the tech savvy who were bootstrapping the network. Super bullish. Similarly, My Crypto noted that the amount of ETH locked into DeFi has hit 3 million ETH. Despite all these milestones, there are still a number of questions that remain in crypto, and Ali Yahya of A16Z wrote up a great distillation of what he says are the 12 questions that really remain to be answered in crypto. Some examples are when and where decentralization matters most, how many networks will dominate, whether it'll just be one or many, and where value will be captured. I definitely urge you to check out that post. And last but not least, this week's fun bits is CoinJazera's write-up on DevCon 5. The headline is Massive Hurricane Hits DevCon 5 as God Attempts to Rid the World of Ethereum Community. My favorite part of this article was definitely the part where they referenced how the dinosaurs died. Quote, the only thing preventing God from going biblical on Japan and sending a meteor to scorch the earth was Coindesk reporter Lee Quinn's controversial article calling Ethereum a scam, pissing off every bag holder at DevCon. This amused God enough to not send us all the way of the dinosaurs. That's it for this week's news. To learn more about the topics that Jonathan and I discussed, as well as the stories from this week's news recap, be sure to check out the links in the show notes of your podcast player. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. Unconfirmed is produced by me, Laura Shin, with help from Fractal Recording, Anthony Yoon, Daniel Ness, and Josh Durham. Thanks for listening.